Welcome to the Spa Girls podcast, the self-publishing podcast for authors. You're in the right place for the best writing, marketing, and publishing advice, plus interviews with industry experts and best-selling authors. I'm Shah Barrett.
I'm Cheryl Phipps.
I'm Wendy Vella.
And I'm Trudy J. Welcome.
Yay. Welcome.
Another episode. This week we have an exciting guest. We've got MIA BRODY with us to talk about short fiction on Amazon.
Hey, Mia.
Hi.
Hey, Mia.
Hey, Mia.
Hi.
Love your covers.
Yeah, very cool.
So I'm just going to read a quick bio for Mia, and then we will get right into the interview. So MIA BRODY writes steamy short story. Oh my goodness.
Lord.
Oh, it's a tongue
Great
twister.
start. Try that one
Steamy
again.
Short stories. Are they steamy? They're all short stories, aren't they, Mia?
Yeah.
Short stories, yeah. Okay, steamy short stories about alpha men who fall in love with big, beautiful women. She loves happy endings, and every couple she writes will get one. When she's not writing, Mia is searching for the perfect slice of cheesecake and watching way too many K-dramas. You can find her at miabrody.com.
Yay.
So I made it through
Welcome.
the bio
Yeah.
just so
That's
now
a great
that
start.
now that you can see how professional we are in the spa, Mia, can I start out with a basic question of how did you get into writing? Like, what made you start self-publishing and writing?
So I come from a family of writers. I'd always been interested in writing as far as making it a career, but I hadn't really seen anybody do it like full time as far as that was making a living from it. So I was kind of hesitant to do it. So I ended up going into online businesses. And I ran a lot of those until I stumbled upon some short stories written by Hope Ford. And I knew kind of based on the numbers I was seeing, I have a background in marketing. So I knew based on the rankings I was seeing that she was making a full-time living. I could actually kind of verify that. And I could verify that for a couple other short story writers. And I was already writing short stories in my spare time. And so I said, well, why not go ahead and start publishing them? And that was kind of my little thing. Was when I finally saw that there was a market for them. I was like, yes, let's do this. There's a market. There are people making a living. Let's go for it.
Awesome.
Cool.
And
That's
and
awesome.
you when was that? How long ago was that you sort of started?
Let's see, that would be December 2020 when I discovered that there were people making a living, and I launched my first one in March 2021. So about 4 months. And I read in the genre, I read heavily within the genre during those 4 months. I didn't just, clean things up. I wanted to, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said it took you about 15 months to get you where you wanted to be. Is that right?
that is correct. Full-time
And-
living took 15 months.
Wow. And how many books was that in?
Let's see, at 15 months, I averaged 2 books a month. So that was probably between 25 and 30 books.
Wow.
Somewhere in there, which I've heard is common for short stories. I hear that it's closer to the 20 book mark for full novels, but for short stories, I hear it's closer to 25 or 30. So still though, if you release 2 a month for a year, you're at 24 stories.
Right.
I mean, assuming that you're writing to market and your covers are on point and your blurbs are on point, there's a good chance that you're going to make it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously no guarantees, but
So what defines a short fiction? Like what are the characteristics of the genre that you're writing in? Like how many words? Yeah.
That sort of thing. Hero,
Yeah.
heroine.
Oh.
What do we got?
I have seen short stories as short as 5,000 words on Amazon. I personally couldn't do it that short. I admire those people that do. I am closer to 12K to about 22K is my average. Occasionally I have something a little longer, but for the main part, that's usually, I prefer the 20K mark. That's my favorite spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many books are you writing? 2 books a month? Is that your average?
Currently, yes, I average about 2 books a month.
And you're big on series, is that right? That's how you write in series?
Not just in series. I believe in writing within universe. For me, I created a town called Courage County. And then I have multiple spinoffs. Let's see, I have the Taylor brothers in Love on the Ranch. I have the Scott brothers in Courage County Brides about mail order brides. And I have a firefighter series in the town. So I'm really big on creating a universe. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Arrow or NCIS. Both of those were actually, those show creators were so brilliant because they didn't just create TV shows, they created a whole universe. Arrow has multiple spinoffs, NCIS has multiple spinoffs. And not only does that increase your income, it really gives the fans what they want, because they can sink into a whole place where they, they watch this or they read it and they go, wow, I want to be there. I want to be part of this. And I think that's a very fulfilling experience for viewers and readers.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
definitely.
makes so much sense. And also you're not reinventing a new world every time you start a new book. So it's kind of, you're developing further into the world, I guess, yeah.
But you think about it as a reader or as a viewer of television, you kind of like going back to the same place of somewhere that you know that you enjoyed, right? To get that same experience. So it does make a lot of sense in terms of that. So are there any other things that are for short fiction that are must-haves around in that genre, do you think? Or is it just it's mainly to do with the length, and that's like I'm thinking like kind of the instalove trope, or are there any other kind of things that you need to have in there?
Well, I mean, I'm not big on must-haves. I will tell you that, with every book, I try to hit somewhere between 2 and 4 tropes, with some books hitting as many as 7 to 8 tropes. That makes it extremely hard. I know it's a lot of tropes, but if you blend them all correctly, then it can attract people that don't normally read that particular trope, and they'll go, but it has all these other tropes I love, I'll give it a shot. So that's a real pull for it. So multiple tropes within instalove specifically. I can't speak for all short stories because, I found recently cozy short stories that are under 20K. That was fascinating. But so for instalove, I can say that readers really like alpha males, over the top guys that just kind of charge in and take over. And it's very popular within the instalove genre. They also are very big on I don't know the type of word I'm looking for here. I word all day, but don't ask me.
You're wording a lot though, Mia. You're wording a lot though, Mia. So yeah.
But they're very big on like diversity and inclusion in terms of, I have a diverse body ranges, diverse abilities. I have heroes that are in wheelchairs, and I had one that had an olostomy bag. And I was actually kind of worried that my readers would come back and say they're not alpha enough if they're flawed and they have disabilities and chronic illnesses. But they actually came back and told me that those are some of their favorite characters, and that it made them very relatable and easy to root for. So if you can find a way, if you're writing within the instalove, to make the heroes diverse in some way. And of course, there's also race and other issues that you can use to create a more diverse, rounded out cast. Certainly that I, as somebody with chronic illness, I find it interesting to include heroes and heroines that haven't. So that was my kind of take on it.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. Go self-publishing, can I just say, because that's the beauty. One of the key aspects of it, I think, is the ability for writers to publish what it is they want to read, but also just to include that diversification in their work.
Yeah.
So
just quickly before we go any further, I just want, so what's your definition of instalove? Like, what do you mean when you're talking about that?
So with that, I usually mean like it's an instant connection between the hero and heroine, almost like he knows instantly she's going to be part of the rest of his life. And sometimes I hit that stronger and sometimes I don't. It really depends. But yeah, that instant connection, that instant she's meant to be mine, she's meant to be, my future wife, that sort of thing is really with what I look at with the instalove.
Okay. Because I was thinking that you probably have to have instalove in a shorter story. You don't think that's the case? You think it can be a...
So if I do a slower burn, I usually have had them have a pre-existing relationship. Or they have a pre-existing relationship where he knows that she's meant to be part of his life, but he's fighting that. And my readers respond well to it being the hero making that kind of decision. And that, again, because we go back to the alpha male, that's very popular within, I see it more in the indie romance community and instaloves, is that over the top male that just looks at her and says, she's mine. I think it kind of reminds me of those old Harlequins, with the blowing hair dudes and all that. Those aren't as popular anymore in trad publishing, but in indie publishing, people still respond really well to that. And I'm just like, if they respond well to it, give the people what they want,
Absolutely.
Amen to that.
So taking it back a bit to when you very first started and your marketing, I mean, if you've got a marketing background, What did you do? Like, did you write a whole lot and start out that way? Did you get your covers? Did you get an email newsletter? What was your sort of first steps towards starting out for the newbies amongst us to get your success on the road?
So what I did, I mentioned this briefly in another writing group, but when I started out self-publishing, I was very ill. I was actually bedridden. And I was running 2 other online businesses.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, so that was a bit of a challenge. But so mainly for marketing, I just focused on building a newsletter. I didn't have a lot of energy or time to dedicate to Facebook and TikTok and all that.
Yeah.
Those are very cool and very valid ways to build your writing platform, but I just didn't have the energy and time. And so I wanted to focus on building that backlist and connecting with readers through email. Those were my kind of 2 goals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so how did you go with your newsletter? How did you set about getting more readers and things like that, more subscribers?
So I did use BookFunnel. I set up a free newsletter magnet that way. It was just a free short story. It was small town, friends to lovers type, and that's still available on my website. But I just set that out because I knew I wanted to write kind of small town Southern type books. So small town friends to lovers romance is what I did as a reader magnet, and I set that up through BookFunnel. And I got probably 500 or 600 subscribers by joining different promo opportunities on BookFunnel. And the thing about it is BookFunnel has some really cool promo opportunities. You just want to make sure you join ones that are relevant to your writing. I went into obviously book builders for instalove authors. I wouldn't have gone into something for like cozy mysteries. I would have gotten the wrong type of readers, and it would have really created a mismatch of expectations on both sides, and that would have created a negative experience. So you want to you do BookFunnel, you find promos that are targeted to your niche or somehow relevant to your book. And then that helped me with somewhat with the newsletter, but it was still very slow going. And I was getting a lot of people that would subscribe for the freebie and then unsubscribe.
Yeah.
And that was concerning to me because it wasn't building my fan base. And I wanted my newsletter to be filled with just rabid fans, people that absolutely cannot wait for the next book in the Mia Brody universe. So what I started doing was I started adding a newsletter, a bonus scene at the end of my books. I would do literally after the last sentence is typed, the very next paragraph says, you want a bonus scene with so-and-so, and it names 2 characters. And it says, sign up for my weekly newsletter and get it here. And those people are some of the most loyal newsletter subscribers. They're amazing. I love all my fans, but they are just amazing. And it's grown my newsletter in incredible ways, way faster than the BookFunnel promos. And the people that get onto the newsletter are staying on it too, because I have a nurture sequence going, where it just welcomes them into the email, gives them some info about me, just kind of nurtures them for a couple of weeks so they get to know Mia Brody, and then they're added to the main newsletter and they see it every week.
Yeah, so you're sending them weekly. Yeah, awesome. And what kind of content are you putting in them? Do you have a long newsletter, or is it quite a short one?
So I don't worry about newsletter length, and I don't encourage anyone else to worry about newsletter length. You want to show up and you want to give your people value. And in our world, that value is entertainment. So I'm sharing pre-order links to my latest book, excerpts for upcoming books, bonus scenes. I link them back to that because I do have regular subscribers that go, hey, how do I find the bonus scenes? So a week or 2 after I send out a book, I send them another newsletter that says, hey, did you happen to see the bonus scene? Because people do miss it. People forget it. They don't know what the link is. So I do that sort of stuff. I give book recommendations to other books because I'm always newsletter swapping too. And that's fun as well. You can also do surveys. I sent out a survey to find out what my readers wanted. And they told me, by and large, it was really surprising. They said, we want more steamy scenes. They said, throw more sex in there. And I said, okay. And so I've included more love scenes now, and it's working.
Yeah.
So
that's so interesting.
So I've got just a quick question on the logistics of this, because my brain is visual, and I'm thinking, okay, bonus scene for book A. So the reader signs up to your newsletter, gets that bonus scene. Do you have a different welcome sequence for each of your books, or do you kind of bring them into a series? How do you just how does it work?
Well, I'm a big fan of keeping things simple, so I put them all into the same funnel.
Nice.
there's an exception if you sign up for like, there's a free cowboy book I have. And a lot of the people that signed up for that were already subscribers, which I knew. So I had it mark, if you're already a subscriber, don't put them into the welcome sequence. But if they're not a subscriber, put them into the welcome. And that's just kind of what I do. And that keeps it really simple for me.
Nice. That's cool.
And so do they get access then to all the different bonus epilogues for the different books?
What I do is I put all the bonus epilogues on a single page, so you can visit that and find everything all at once.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I actually got the idea from Vanessa Vale. So,
Oh, she's a goddess, just saying.
very
If you haven't read any Vanessa Vale, people, V-A-L-E is the surname, you need to go and read Vanessa Vale if you want how to do steamy, like, man, she's awesome. So that makes perfect sense. And also people will be reading that, and I know I've done this myself, they will read a bonus scene, but they might not have read the book. So it's another way of kind of back funneling, if you like, them to go and get their book.
That is correct. And what I actually do is I've been on author websites where I've actually stumbled across bonus scenes without having even read the book. So what I do on mine is on my bonus page, I actually link to the book and I say read now. That way, if they haven't read the book and maybe they've just stumbled upon my site, or even if they read it a long time ago and they want to reread it, they can click read now. And then at the bottom of my bonus scene, I always do very next paragraph, hey, you know, for another protective alpha male, read, and I recommend another book. Usually the next book in the series or the next series, but I always recommend another book. As soon as I get you into my funnel, I want to keep you as long as possible. And if I'm writing books that satisfy you, you're not going to be annoyed with me. You're going to be really, really excited and happy. Just the way we are when we sit down to watch our favorite TV shows in the same universe. You know? Yeah,
exactly. Oh, that's so smart. It's so smart. You are so smart, Mia. Love this. So smart. I think that the lesson there is once you've got them to try and keep them, you know, and it doesn't have to, like, you're just delivering more entertainment. It's not, that's all there is to it. Simple as that.
Did you have something to share? Yeah.
Well, I was just going to, one of them was how would you get them to get all of the bonus scenes without just picking them up and not getting the books? But that kind of answered it in a nutshell, really, because what you don't really care, because you were going to promote the book. So they're going to come full circle. If they haven't already got it, they're going to get it. And if they have got it, they'll get the bonus anyway. So that's really cool. So can I ask, what are the price points for instalove?
So you could do any price point you want, obviously. I prefer a $2.99 price point, and I'm not KU, which not always a popular decision, but I mean, it works for me. And I'm not going to tell another writer don't do it if it works for them. You know, I mean, if you're making the kind of money you want and you're getting the kind of fan base you want, absolutely stay with KU. I didn't feel comfortable doing it just because I know that some of issues with Zahn that have come up recently. So I went wide, and that means I had to take my books out of KU, unfortunately. And readers that complain about that, what I always say is I just say, you know what, I understand your frustration. Why don't you come join the ARC team? You can get the books for free. That kind of
love that. That's a brilliant answer.
So you went, I know that you went wide, and you talked about it, how you did it a certain way. Can you talk about that? Like how you went from being in KU to being wide?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Okay. So I was 6 months into my publishing career. So this was September 2021. And I had published probably 16 books or so, because I'd originally thought I would do it once a week, but I was very ill and couldn't keep up with that. But so I had like 16 books out, and September, 6 months into KU, and I decided, you know what, I don't want to stay in KU. I want to be wide. And traditional advice says, take everything out of KU and fling it wide immediately. And I didn't really feel like that was the best idea. So what I did was I left everything currently in KU as a nest egg, because it was still earning me money. I left that all in KU as a nest egg and just started publishing all new titles wide, everything wide. And I left that nest egg for a long, long time until I built up to a full-time income. And I've just recently taken everything out of KU in the last 2 or 3 months. And they'll eventually, all my backlist will go wide too. But yeah, I know that some people recommend taking everything immediately out of KU, but then your income drops off. It can take up to a year or two to really get that income on wide. So I don't advise writers that are dependent on KU to just drop out entirely. You know, I would just be honest with my readers. I was like, you know, I'm going in a different direction. These aren't going to be available in KU anymore. You're welcome to come join my ARC team. You know, and that's how you bring them in, because it's all about creating a positive experience for the readers. You know, I love you. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for supporting my books. Unfortunately, it's part of a business decision. I can't be part of KU anymore. I'm going to go wide. We're going to reach more readers. We're going to have more fans. But at the same time, if you still need them free because, you know, maybe you can't read outside KU, don't have the budget or whatever, come over to the ARC team. You're more than welcome to join us there. I'm really happy to have you. And just kind of put a positive spin on everything. Always lead with that positivity. You know?
Yeah. I think that is such good advice for any dealing with readers on a more broader basis around publishing, if you like. You know, it's the old saying, it's a very old saying because I'm very old, but it's like you don't want to see the sausage being made, and you don't. And I'm not a big fan of authors kind of laying out their business woes, if you like, to readers, because it gets in the way of that entertainment. To me, it's an entertainment relationship. And but I think that how you explained it there was a brilliant, clever way of doing it, that it's your business decision, but here you know, acknowledge that you can't afford it, so here, and it's still a benefit to you. You're still getting the art creator and probably a fan for life that's gonna be recommending you in other ways. So that's very
So what
again,
about, sorry, Shah,
no,
what about your marketing continuing going forward? What are you doing now? Amazon, are you doing not Amazon ads, but or what are you doing, like Facebook ads? What do you do for your marketing?
So I've just been dipping my toe into ads recently. What I've always had the best luck with has been my newsletter, obviously, because I've worked hard to grow it. And that's full of fans. Newsletter swaps with other instalove authors, and that doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're going to do swaps with other newsletter people, make sure that they're in your genre. Yes, I would swap with another romance writer over, say, a horror author, but go even more granular than that. I would not newsletter swap with an instalove author that writes dark, because my light cowboys aren't going to be, their audience is going to be receptive to my light cowboys, my light fluffy cowboys. And at the same time, my audience is going to be possibly a little bit unhappy with the darker romance because they don't read that. So I'm just paying attention to, and I always want to link to other authors that they would read. So think about fellow authors that I would naturally go from this author to that author. That's what I'm kind of thinking, is so I wouldn't like go with an author that just writes really, really dark when I'm writing, especially like if you write like Hallmark type stuff. Like I can see behind you write like cozy romance. So you wouldn't go with somebody that wrote a really dark thriller. It just, the audience isn't the same.
Yeah.
So that's your main marketing tool, is your email newsletter.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess you would say the regular publication, the new books, right? So you're writing these two books. So you're writing and publishing these 2 books each month, is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
So could you talk to us a little bit about that process? Like, do you have someone editing them, or do you just pretty much write them and put them up, or how does that all work?
So before I started publishing fiction, I was ghostwriting nonfiction about 100K words a month.
wow.
Yeah, it was a lot. I eventually let all those clients go after the fiction writing dream. But the thing about writing that nonfiction, when you're writing 100K words a month, that's about 3,000 words a day, a little bit over. You don't have time to sit there and just edit and edit and edit. So it taught me to write a clean draft. It taught me to outline and write a very clean draft very quickly. And those are actually skills I rely upon now in my fiction writing, is that it taught me to outline, write that clean draft, and get it done. So that's what I do. And then after I've finished writing it, I turn on, Microsoft has a read back feature. So I turn that on and read back, and I listen for words I left out, or if the dialogue sounds off, I just pause it and I go fix it right there. And then I have it keep reading forward. And that's how I do it. Okay. And then I just format and vellum.
Cool. And so do you say maybe write 1 week and then you like I'm just curious how long it takes you to finish a book? Is it the full 2 weeks, or are you?
So I'm not currently ahead in my schedule. I've run a little close to the deadline. My health does impact that, and that's okay. So I would say I write. What I really like to do is I like to write, immediately edit and upload, and just kind of get that book out of me so I can get on to the next one. Because I really love staying within that universe and staying within those characters. And I want to write that as quickly as close together as I can, so that has that feeling of cohesion,
Mhm.
that writers look for.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, that readers look for, not writers.
Yeah, I think writing two so close together, if you were going backwards and forwards between them, say in the editing process, it could get quite confusing, right? Every month doing that. Yeah.
Yes. I try not to have multiple projects open at once.
No.
I try to just have one project at a time that gets all my focus. That
Yeah.
too, I find helpful. I know that some writers like to have multiple books to toggle between, and I do respect that. For me, what would happen if I had multiple projects open, I would sit down at the computer and spend 2 hours debating which one to work on. So for me, if I just have one project, it's like, you know what you're working on, get those words down.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's awesome.
So,
And are you still writing 3,000 words a day, or is that sort of gone back a bit?
oh no, let's see. I have to probably churn out about, so if I were to work in 30 days, all 30 days, I would probably work about 1,600 words, maybe a little bit less, because I'm only turning out around 40 to 50K a month.
Yeah.
So the schedule is nowhere near as stressful as it used to be.
Yeah.
Well,
that's awesome. Good for you.
It still sounds like a lot to me,
I'm a bit stressed thinking about this 100K a month. Oh my God.
Could you talk a little bit about your outlining process, Mia? Just is it detailed? Is it one paragraph? Just what do you use?
So what I do is when I get a book idea, right? And first thing I do is I say, okay, what tropes are you hitting?
Yeah.
And I literally make myself write down a list of the tropes. And then I look them up, keywords in Publisher Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I write the blurb using the keywords and the tropes and all of that, put everything together. I tried to write blurbs after I've written a book, and it's like pulling teeth. I don't know why. I guess some of the sparkle's gone by that point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Agree. So over
right?
that.
Yes. So I write the blurb, and then I sit down to write the outline. And I actually have, for my 20K books, I have a 10-chapter outline. It's formatted, his POV, her POV, and it notes the scenes as well as the romantic beats that I'm hitting. So then I just fill that out, kind of, okay, this scene happens here. This is the romantic beat we're hitting. So I know, like in chapter 7 usually is about the time, typically I have the sexy moments. So I know that to hit that there. So I say, okay, this is what happens in her POV. This is what happens in his POV. Then like chapter 8 is usually the black moment. Sometimes if I'm running a little short on words, it'll be fun and games first. It depends. I will adjust on the fly. I love my outline, and I use it to, again, create that clean draft and get that book just turned out like that. But I'm also not afraid to deviate a little when it needs to happen. And that's important too, because the outline there is a tool that serves me. I'm not a slave to the outline. It serves me. And that's important for writers to keep in mind.
I love that. And what, with the point of view, is it third person, first person? Like, is there a preference? Is it like, what's the kind of the standard, would you say, in the shorter romance market?
So this is actually really interesting, but in instalove, I have noticed first person dual POV. You get the hero and the heroine, works best.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because instalove, if you do paranormals, I see more third person dual POV. So that's really interesting to me, that it's still instalove, but if you switch just a hair over to the paranormals, like wolf shifters and stuff, you usually see more third person POV. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, it is interesting.
It is. I wonder if it's because it just needs the focus needs to pull back just a tad to see maybe the paranormal world a bit more. Maybe, I don't know. That's just, I guess, off the top of my head. Or maybe it's just coming from or I mean, as a long-term paranormal reader, I'm used to third person, and maybe that just carries on, as well.
What I wondered about too is because when I see longer or even trad published the books, I see more third person.
Yeah.
And so that made me curious if that influenced it as well.
Yeah. Good question. That's one for the ages. Do you enjoy writing in first person as you do? Like, do you find that natural for you?
Yes, I've written in first person for let's see, I used to write in third person, but I started writing in first person and found I just really liked how it flowed better.
Mhm.
For a while, I thought I was going to write young adult. I didn't end up publishing young adult, and then I thought I was going to do new adult, didn't do that either. But and both of those genres are heavy on first person POV.
Mhm.
So that's what I switched to using. And I found I really liked it. When I started looking into instalove, though, I did pull back and pay attention. I was like, am I looking at first person or third person? Because that was a big question for me, is I want to hit the genre expectations. So I read heavily in the genre. I still read heavily in the genre. I think it's so important as a writer to always be absorbing other ideas and new perspectives and all that. And it creates this vivid writing well for me to draw from when it comes time for me to put my words down.
Yeah.
100%.
Very cool.
Absolutely. And I think I see if there's any one golden ticket, which I absolutely don't agree with, but people are always looking for that one, that secret. And I think that's it, honestly, is the fact that you read, 300 books before you actually started. Like, it's absolutely nailing those reader expectations and understanding, I think it's pretty arrogant, to be honest, for writers to think that they can just look at one or two and think,
That's the way it's
but
done.
I see it all the time in writers' forums, and it drives me nuts. But I've learned through bitter experience not to comment on it.
It's a great call, Shah. Can I just
Cool.
ask about the covers? Who does the covers for you?
Okay, so when I first started publishing, I didn't want to. I believe in investing in your business, absolutely, and I look at publishing as a business.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a whole lot to invest in it. I'm running 2 other businesses. I'm really busy. I'm bedridden. So I asked my sister, who was interested a little bit in Photoshop. I said, "What can you create me?" She said, "Sure, I can do this." And so she started doing them until this past year. And I knew she wasn't going to do it long term, and she was clear about that. And I was like, "Okay, whatever you can do to help me now, I appreciate." So this year she started training me to make the covers, and I started creating my own covers in Courage County Bride series. And that was fun. So I created those. And then this past month or two, I started working with Cormar Covers. I love her. She does beautiful work. And the only reason I'm no longer making my own covers is just because it took so much time from me.
Yeah.
And I definitely enjoyed the process of creating the covers and whatnot, but I felt like she could do it better and she could do it faster.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can take those 4 days, spend them literally writing an instalove if I want, and make the money back that I'm going to pay for a cover.
Yeah.
And I was like, so let's just invest that back into the career, and let's take that time and use that time on valuable And that's the thing about it too, is there are tasks that only you can do in your writing career. And one of those is writing. But anybody can design you a cover. Anybody can even write your blurb for you. But only you can write the story. So if you're at this point where you're making money and there are tasks that are taking you a long time and they're taking you so long and taking you away from that writing and that creativity, then absolutely don't be afraid to outsource them.
Yeah.
Good
Absolutely. That's
Very
awesome.
good call.
Yeah.
What was the name of that cover designer?
So it's Cormar Covers. Let's see, it's CORMAR Covers. And she is just the sweetest thing. She does a lot of the romance covers. If you write romance, absolutely get a romance cover artist. But obviously, if you're in a different genre, you'd want to get a cover artist that works with your genre.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I have a question, just going back to when you were particularly around mailing lists and swapping like newsletter features. How did you actually kind of meet other instalove authors? Sure.
So the first thing I did was I began reading heavily in the genre, and I particularly paid attention to people that were regularly hitting the top 100 list. I said, because they have nailed reader expectations of what readers want. So these are the people I need to be paying attention to. So I started friending them on Facebook. And as I began friending them on Facebook, I noticed they were all part of this one group, Writing Instalove. So I went and joined the Writing Instalove group. And that's where I found even more instalove authors to talk with and swap with and all that. And that is so important to me. And it's something I teach writers. I say, find your community, find your people, and associate with them. Not only is it encouraging, you get that encouragement, you get people to bounce ideas off of, you get people that have been through similar things. I just messaged somebody the other day. I was like, my print books came out terrible. I said, what do I do? She said, adjust the print settings in vellum. I said, I didn't know I could. She said, yeah, I should. But I said, no, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So that's why you have these writer friends and you make these communities, you
Mm.
know, and you give back, obviously. You don't just take. And I try to always show up and give value back to my people because I love them and I want them to succeed. And the thing about it is I know that some writers can get sometimes a little jealous and envious, and that's natural. But I am a huge, huge believer in that nobody can take the good that's coming for me. I can't take it. You can't take it. Nobody can mess with that.
Yeah.
And that means when you succeed, I can rejoice with you
Mm.
because that's your good and that was intended for you. And what's
Yeah.
coming for me is intended for me and nobody can take that, you know, and it doesn't matter what anybody else does or says because what's meant to be mine will be mine and what's meant to be yours will be yours.
Love
And
that.
so we rejoice with each other.
Yeah.
It's
And
a,
readers are voracious. They need more than one author.
yeah.
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 Oh,
That's awesome.
absolutely.
I can imagine they're reading more than one book a day for the instalove
Mhm.
readers. Like,
Mm.
you know, they will be absolutely reading more than one a
Voracious.
day.
Voracious
100%.
readers. Can I just go quickly back? I know we've sort of moved on from it, but I'm really curious about, so you talked about writing in the same universe and you found that, so I don't think you did that originally and you moved to that sort of in more recent books. Do you do,
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't quite make sense, but what do you think about like cliffhangers and things like that? Do you have connected books in that way or you don't really, like, how do you promote read through between your books in the series?
Okay, so with cliffhangers, I know that some authors find them extremely successful. And this comes again back to reading your genre. I don't see them used heavily within the instalove genre.
Mhm.
So if you're looking to come into the instalove genre, we'd love to have you. I don't advise cliffhangers then.
Okay.
But there are certain genres that will encourage cliffhangers, and that's why you need to read heavily and know whether or not readers like them in that genre. So in instalove, we don't really like cliffhangers. They want that happily ever after, give them that complete ending. If you can even fast forward, you know, a few months to a few years and give them a complete, you know, family picture, something kind of gooey and happy, they love that even more. We are here for that gooey happiness. So that's what you do there. You want to end it completely with that couple. But what I try to do is I try to bring in the character from the very next book, usually the hero, because again, my readers are usually there for the alpha heroes. I bring him in, hopefully in an interesting and exciting way, make them kind of curious about him. Like in one book I just mentioned, you know, after an accident, he retreated on the family farm and built his own cabin and was really never seen again in town. And that kind of created this feeling in my readers, like, what happened? What accident was involved? Why did he retreat? Why isn't he seen in town? You know, all these questions. So and that causes them to pick up the next book. And of course, at the end of book 7, I'm saying, hey, go read the bonus scene. They go and read the bonus scene. At the end of the bonus scene, I'm saying, hey, do you remember this character from this that you had questions about? He's over here in his own book. Okay, go buy that. So that's what I'm kind of doing is I'm constantly linking them. And that's what it is I'm always putting little, what do you call them? I don't know if you know. Yes, breadcrumbs, but in video games, we have Easter eggs, you know?
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's what I always put Easter. I love to do that with every book. An Easter egg for a future book and an Easter egg from a past book. It's a character that you remember from another part of the series and go, oh, that's what happened to that secondary character? That's so neat. She dated that guy. And you go, oh, okay. And so just little Easter eggs. And then it gives this feeling of we really are in this universe and there really are all these people.
Love that. It's such a clever idea. Oh, man, you are a clever cookie.
Well, actually, that just brings me on to the amount of characters you can have in an instalove. Because it's a shorter book, you can't have like the whole town in it like you would maybe a contemporary romance. So what do you do?
So with instalove, what I like to do is, you know, you get the hero and the heroine. And then I like to bring, of course, in a character that's going to be the star of the next book, again, in a way that's exciting. And then anybody that needs to support the story. For example, if the heroine's best friend is the one that encourages her to go sleep with the firefighter that's hot and he ends up being her new boss, then obviously we need a best friend to put in there. And then the best friend may appear in another book or she may not. In that particular book, she doesn't appear again. But just mention her again throughout. Oh, yeah, I've been texting so-and-so, her best friend. That way the best friend isn't forgotten.
Right,
Yes. In instalove, yes, keeping your cast smaller is going to work in your favor in instalove.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mentioned like Ernie's Diner and like anytime the characters need to go out for a burger in different books, Ernie's Diner. And it creates this feeling of, I don't know if you ever saw Gilmore Girls with Lisa.
Yeah.
Remember how you know certain locations in
Yeah.
the TV show? That's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Pick certain town locations.
People
or
love
it doesn't
that.
have to be town, but yeah.
But don't we all, like when you're watching Girls, wouldn't you love to have gone to Luke's Diner, you know? And I mean, it's always mysteriously open when it's snowing, and, you know, it just looks warm and cozy. And I love that. That feeling
With
of
a grumpy-
belonging, I think, you know, is what people are looking for, as well as the romance. But it's also that community feeling that, you know, these days, without getting too, you know, out there, is often that people are missing, you know. And so I think it speaks to that as well.
I'd really like to know about the heat level, because I don't believe it's just one heat level in instalove. Is it, you know, like there are different, you know, some are more steamy than others.
Yes, I have seen different heat levels within the genre. I will say that I have never really seen an instalove with closed door. I know that there are authors that are going to start launching some short and sweet ones that don't have any open door, and they're going to push and see if they can create a market for it, create a readership for it. That'll be fascinating to watch, and I would love to see them succeed. But for right now, I see open door, but how explicit it is really kind of depends. I've seen books with one love scene, very kind of just generalized, not heavy on body parts or fluids or anything like that. And I've seen ones that are very explicit, and they have multiple love scenes throughout the book. And they were actually erotica, and that's fine by me. I don't care. But I'm saying I see it in instalove crosses from, you know, just open door, generalized, to really steamy, heavy stuff. So you have quite the gamut there you can write.
Yeah.
Where would you say yours fits within that? Are you bordering on the more steamy, hot?
I would say no. No. I probably medium heat, I would argue. I would say that high heat usually falls into erotica. And the thing about erotica is, if you take out the love scenes, erotica falls apart. That's how you usually know it's an erotica. But with romance, if I went back through my books and I closed all the doors, they would still stand. The story would still stand. And that's not a judgment about that either way.
No, it's just
everybody likes different
It's a
stuff.
good point,
but that's
though.
just the different. Erotica won't stand without the love scenes, but romance will. And that's how you kind of know what you're reading. And I mean, I read in both genres, and I know writers that write in both genres, and it's just very different animal. And you have to be aware of that and again, that goes back to knowing your market and reading that and knowing, okay, this is what my readers expect.
Makes sense.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. So I know you've mentioned that you've got a chronic illness, and that when you first started, you were bedridden. I'm just like, how do you get through something like that? Like, I'm sure we've got listeners who are in a similar situation to you. How did you kind of basically
Get up
kind of
and motivate yourself
motivate yourself and get going?
So honestly, it was really hard, and I would write the books crying a lot of times. But I would put up the next pre-order as I was uploading that book, and I would be like, you can't disappoint the fans. You have a pre-order out. And that outer expectation, that deadline outside of myself, helped me to keep going, one foot in front of the other. Put one more book up, write one more word, one more chapter. You can do this. And I mean, it was hard, but at the same time, I believed it was possible, and I kept going. And it was it was really hard.
There's a lot of determination there. I think I get the
Yeah.
impression that you're a very determined person.
At what point did you drop your other businesses off? Did you say it was like 6 months in? Sorry, I'm just trying to work out how you're juggling everything right back then, particularly when you were so unwell.
Yeah, it was challenging. Just taking those good moments and really using them to my advantage too. You know, if I was having a particularly good hour, writing as fast as I could, you know. I didn't even have a laptop. My mom gave me a laptop when I was bedridden. I was like, awesome. And I just started typing from the bed.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's see. I did for 15 months, both the 2 businesses and the writing.
Wow.
At which point, the 15-month mark, I knew that I was making enough, and I was still bedridden at this point. I knew I was making enough from the fiction that I could give it a full-time go, and it would be okay. And that's really why I held on to those 2 businesses while I started that, is because, again, with my business background, most business ventures take between 3 and 5 years to hit profitability. And I said, publishing is a business venture. It could take 3 to 5 years to hit profitability. I don't want to be eating ramen during that time.
Yeah.
I said, hang on to those 2 businesses and keep writing. And then we're going to make it all work. So about 15 months in, I realized, hey, you're hitting full time. You know, you thought this would take 3 to 5 years. Let's go back and look at the businesses and see if we can close them out. And sure enough, it was possible. So I was like,
awesome.
That is absolute. That will be giving a huge number of people, huge number of listeners, as well as ourselves, inspiration. That's awesome.
Yeah. Is it? Do you feel like you had to? There's mindset stuff there that you worked on, or is it just you just were determined to make it happen, and that's what you did? Like, did you have to give yourself pep talks? I don't know.
I am a huge believer in mindset. I heard someone once say, and it's always stuck with me, and I've carried it with me, that you should never speak over your life something you don't want to come true.
Oh,
You only say things about yourself, about your writing career that you absolutely want to come true. So, you know, I would tell myself, you're going to be a success. You're going to do this. You're going to write these books. One day your name is going to be on those top 100 bestseller lists on Amazon. You're headed that way. This is going to be your story too. And even now, making a full-time living, now I'm going, okay, one day you're going to be the millionaire author. You know, and it's funny because it just keeps going. And there's always a new mountain to climb. And I love that. I love the challenge. And that I think is so important in life, is to find something you enjoy so much that even on the bad days, you love the challenge. Grit by Angela Duckworth, I believe is her name, talks about this. It's a fantastic book. But yes, I'm huge on mindset. Mindset actually helped me build the businesses that allowed me to launch a writing career. So that I'm huge on mindset. Absolutely love the topic. You know, I believe that words have power, and that I type and I create worlds that people want to live in. And if I speak something, I can create a world I want to live in.
Very
That's
powerful.
awesome.
Love that.
absolutely love that. I'm assuming that you're familiar with Lee Savino and Renee Rose and their author Abundance, that we've had both ladies on our podcast, and big fans. So
Yes, they're fantastic.
Awesome.
Okay. Have we got any more questions for?
No, I don't
So
think
many,
so.
but
I
I
don't-
just
yeah.
I'm just basking in Mia's
processing.
inspiration and positivity, and just, you know, thank you for being a leading light in this, because I also just want to say, if anybody is writing short romances, we'll put the link in the show notes, but to the Writing instalove group, and your posts are just, and I absolutely meant this 100%, they just tick every marketing box for me as a fellow marketer, but it's just really good, solid advice, and so positive, and you're very generous particularly with newer authors, and you know, God bless you for that. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Awesome. And so just as a final question, is there anything else, Mia, that you want to say to our listeners to encourage, or to the piece of advice that you wish you'd gotten maybe when you were starting out?
You know, the one thing I would tell you is to keep going. And that sounds so trite. And I know that some days it feels like, okay, well, that's easy for her to say. But I mean, that wasn't easy when I was bedridden. I know what it's like to sit there and sob through the words, and just typing literally, you know, those words after my doctor has told me, hey, you've come as far as medical science can. We don't know how to help you anymore. And you've tried every medication. We're sorry. And sitting there and typing that and still saying, you got to keep going. You got to give me 5 more, you know. And that's the thing, is you have to be your own coach, your own cheerleader, your own encourager. Absolutely reach out for support with other writers too. But definitely create just a voice in your own head that is encouraging, that challenges you to become your best self. You know, be your own best friend on the journey. That is so valuable to me, is that I meet people all the time, and they open their mouths and they talk about themselves. And I think to myself, I would hate to live in your head. You're so mean. And not out to other people, they're mean to themselves.
Yeah.
No, love yourself. Treat yourself with compassion. Treat writer you with compassion. Treat yourself with compassion. I mean, just that is so important. Be your best friend, you know?
Yeah, that is very
Awesome
true.
word.
Oh wow,
Lovely.
I've got tingles. That was beautiful
Yeah,
advice.
that needs to be on t-shirts, tote bags, and those airplane flying flags behind, because we're often, and I say collectively here, but personal we too, we're often so mean to ourselves when we're not producing what we think we should, or not seeing the sales that we think you know we want to get to, and it's very easy to slip into that. So that's really good advice.
Beautiful. So thank you so much for coming and joining us here today in the spa, Mia.
Thank
It's
you
been
for
awesome.
having me.
We really appreciated it. Thank you for letting us interrogate you on all
Yeah.
things.
I hope it didn't feel like that, but
So if someone wants to find you or to check out your books or to ask questions, where's the best place to go?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me through my website. I love hearing from people. I love when other authors pop into my box and ask me questions, or we chat. I love that.
Awesome.
So any place, Facebook's fine. I have Twitter, but I'm not really on there. So I'm much better on Facebook or on my website. I have a contact form. You can reach out that way.
Awesome.
I love hearing from people.
That's great. Thank you so much for that. And Shah, where can we be found?
We can be found at spargirlspodcast.com, where you've got all our previous episodes and show notes and resources on there as well. And if you'd like to come along and join our Facebook group, we're at patreon.com/spargirlspodcast, and you can come and help support us there, and we love you for it. So thank you very much.
Awesome. So thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Spa Girls podcast. We appreciate all of the time that you spend with us. But for now, it's farewell, and we'll be back again next week.
Bye.
Bye.